Well, welcome back to Wisdom with the Wise Counselor podcast. I am your host, the Wise Counselor, also known by my birth name. It's simply Lateef. This podcast is all about building your emotional resiliency, okay? That's number one. Then it's about thinking about your wellness and mental health, okay? And then we also talk about reclaiming your authority, right? And learning how to live your life on purpose, in purpose. 24/7, 365, right? Listen, I need to say this before I even jump into this podcast. Do you ever get into a space where you feel like the universe is working against you and everything that you were trying to do is met with opposition? I'm telling you right now, before I started recording this podcast, I got hit with 2-3 things that just tried to get me off my game. But I'm telling you this, when I talk about reclaiming your authority, woo, baby, it's not something that I'm just saying. Baby, I'm preaching it. And then you know what? I'm living that, because I don't care what you are facing, no matter who you are, no matter what resources you have access to, no matter the mountain that you are staring at, baby, you must stand in the authority of you. Sometimes you've got to make things move. Sometimes you got to go to that toolbox and grab that hammer, and you got to go to work breaking up these big old pieces of things that need to be shattered and that do not deserve to stand in your way. And so I'm speaking over this podcast right now, because anytime I do anything that's going to help shift or transform or make ways and help somebody grow and be better, I am always challenged with opposition. And so I already know this episode is about to help somebody, right? I'm standing in my authority today. And even though I faced a couple of different things in this last hour or so, I am moving forward because I'm living my life on purpose and in purpose. Today's episode, let's get right on into it. It's kind of about the blessing in the bare minimum. I'm going to call it What Lack Can Teach You. Let me tell you something. I had a moment the other day, one of those sit back and think about it kind of moments that didn't feel like much at first, but when you feel a moment, when you listen to what the universe is whispering to you, when you can pause and get in tune with what the world has for you in that moment, man, I sat there with that moment, and the more of it just stirred in me. It just stirred in my soul, and I started reflecting on how much energy we give to trying to get more. Did you hear me? How much energy do we give to try and get more? Maybe it's more money. Maybe it's more success. Maybe it's more stability. Maybe more approval or more love. But at the end of the day, it's just more. But what if I told you there's a blessing in the season that you're in right now, even if that season looks like it may be lack? Now hear me. I'm not saying you need to stay in a place that is dangerous and unprosperous or unfruitful or beneath your worth, right? I'm not romanticizing poverty or glorifying survival mode, because I know that is not where the universe wants us to be, just scraping by and getting by. But I am saying this. There is something sacred and holy and beneficial about the power of being sustained with what you have. If you've been living in a place where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know what I'm talking about, where you're praying just to make it to Friday, where you're looking at your cabinets and saying, let this little bit of ramen noodles stretch, then you already know what it feels like to be in grit mode. Now, that may not be your narrative. Maybe food insecurity isn't a part of your journey or your testimony, but there has been something that you are looking at that looks like, I'm not gonna make it. And when you were in grit mode, everything sharpens, right? You start seeing the world differently when you've got to think about how you can use what you have to make it, what you have to survive, right? Your appreciation level hits a different kind of plateau, right? And when the universe shows up in ways where you weren't even looking for, you actually end up becoming more grateful, because ultimately I believe that everybody believes in the power of some type of miracle or something that is unexplainable, right? But we are so busy asking for help and, if you will, deliverance, that we miss sometimes the miracle of maintenance. You're still here, right? You still got shelter, right? If you're listening to me, you must have some type of device or some type of music streaming plan or some type of access to Wi-Fi, even if it is the library's Wi-Fi, right? That means you've got the ability to move and you've got free will to get to spaces and places that you need to get to. You've still got somebody that you can call, baby. I need you to be reminded of the little things that we take for granted. Baby, those little things are not nothing. Celebrate all of what you have and do not overlook the things that we may feel are trivial. So let's come back to the basics. What do you actually need to survive? Take a few seconds and think about that. For me, I know this to be true. We have to have some type of shelter. We just can't have our bodies out in the elements and expect that we're going to be able to survive. I mean, it's been 95, 100 degrees in the Midwest. You ain't going to survive outside long if you don't have some type of shelter, right? You need food. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Now, we could get into the quality and the quantity of food that you may need, but at its bare minimal, you need some type of nutrition for your body. Some type of calories to give you some type of energy. And along those same lines, you have to have water. We know that I think it's 60 to 70% of our bodies are made up of water. So baby, when you don't have water, you feel it because you start to get dehydrated. And if you think you are dehydrated, you probably are. So when we bottom line that, you need water. And then for me, I think it's important to acknowledge that you need some type of love or community or connection, right? We are social beings, whether that's spiritual or relational, if you will, or some type of community-based connection. You need love and connection and community to actually survive and understand your purpose and to feel like you are a part of something bigger than yourself. So you need shelter, water, food, and some type of love or connection. Everything else, in my opinion, it's extra. Did you hear me? Everything else that you have is extra. It's nice. It's beautiful, but it is not the foundation that you need to survive. And if your foundation is holding up, even if it's cracked or even when it cracks and it's tired and it's patchy, there's still a blessing in that, because what is it? It's a foundation. Come on now. So here's the hard truth. Some of y'all, including myself, are rejecting your current season, because it doesn't come with fine wine and charcuterie boards, right? And you won't sit at a table unless it looks like it's Instagram worthy, right? And it's got to have the fine china. You better not put no paper plates and plastic spoons in front of me, baby. Oh no, I'm too good for that. But there is wisdom and there is perspective and character development to be had if you learn how to humble yourself and sit down and eat stale crackers and peanuts and not be talking about that tuna tartare, and that fine wine and that caviar, Let me put it plain as it can get. If you are not willing to grow in discomfort and live temporarily in some type of discomfort, then don't expect to thrive in abundance. Did you hear me? If you are not willing to grow in discomfort, do not expect to thrive in abundance, because abundance without character, baby, that's just chaos with a bigger budget. Come on now. Let's keep it real here for a second. We've got a grit problem, right? We're raising up a generation that thinks everything should be easy. Easy jobs, easy relationships. I got to make easy money, right? And when things get hard, people check out and they get numb, or even worse, they lash out, And then what happens? Grit goes extinct. We're watching people collapse over inconveniences because they've never built up the muscle for perseverance. And now it's leaking into culture. And let me tell you this, there is no urgency. There is no resilience, right? There is no awareness that these things are starting to creep into our culture and deteriorate the younger generations. But you, my listener, I'm sure you're different. You're here because you know there is more to life than comfort. And if you don't know that, then you need to listen to this podcast in its entirety. Then you need to play it again. You need to reflect, and you need to think about the words that you are hearing from my mouth. Let me tell you this, because I'm all about prosperity and feeling good. There is a miracle if you hold on. Let's not get too doom and gloom, right? So I want to flip the script on you right now. Maybe this is the season of just enough. Maybe this time of sustaining, not thriving, is where you are building the muscle for the next level, right? You don't get stronger without resistance. So I am letting you know the valleys that you are walking through have intention and purpose. They are designed to strengthen you and make you stronger, but you can't get stronger without resistance, right? You don't get wiser without friction, and you don't get depth without drought. If you ain't got enough dirt to fill the hole that you are in right now, I need you to ask yourself, how are you staying grounded with what you do have, right? What tools are you using to survive and still show up with integrity and compassion and a will to keep going? I don't know. That's for you to think about. So we've reached the point in the podcast that I like to call the Wise Counselor Unfiltered. It's my top 3 takeaways. It's real, it's raw, it's honest, it's gritty. There's no sugar coating on this one, baby. Here's what I think about this podcast and my top 3 takeaways. Number 1, you've got to stop chasing quote unquote more without mastering maintenance. What you're managing today may be your training ground for what you are called to stand and steward tomorrow. Woo! You've got to learn how to stop chasing more and master the skill of maintenance. My second takeaway, grit is not trendy, but it is necessary. You can't build a life on vibes alone. Learn to endure, adapt, and to keep your character intact during the storm, because who you are in moments of lack or valleys or crisis, baby, that's who you are. Anybody can smile and look good when they got everything going their way, but I can know who you are by putting you into a position where you've got to get gritty, right? So gritty isn't trendy, but it is necessary. And the last takeaway here is, don't skip the table just because the meal is small. Do not skip that table because the meal looks small. Baby, you've got to sit down, eat your peanuts and your stale crackers, and open up your eyes to the wisdom that is on the plate, because everything that is good for us doesn't always look good for us. And the inverse of that is true too. Things that look good for us isn't always good for us. You know what I'm saying? So those are my top 3 takeaways. All right. That's the Wise Counselor Unfiltered. So here's also my post-podcast segment. I love to give you some things to think about post-podcast. That means you need to do some work after the podcast. Here's 3 things. Number 1, ask yourself, what are 3 things you already have that are sustaining you in this season, even if it doesn't feel like it's enough? Number 2, it's a reflection prompt. Where in your life have you confused comfort with calling? Where have you expected abundance in your life without true growth? And number 3, it's a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, I want you to practice radical gratitude for what you do have. I want you to speak it aloud. I want you to journal about it. I want you to write it down. I want you to post it on Post-its and put it up on your refrigerator and in your car and on your dorm room door, whatever. And I need you to be reminded that maintenance and where you are in this moment is still absolutely a miracle. Those are your post-podcast homework assignments, simple, relatable, and realistic things that you can do to help get yourself in a better position to appreciate what you have. Well, family, that's what I have for today. I hope that our conversations don't just go in one ear and out the other. I want you to really reflect, do the homework, and I want you to also identify what you're going to use from our time together and put that into practice. If it's not the homework assignments, or if it's not the wisdom that I gave you in the unfiltered version of this podcast, baby, there was 10 minutes of content before. What are you going to take away from this podcast? The responsibility is on you. But here, I also want to remind you that there is no time like the present moment to reclaim yourself, to take care of you, and to dive into how you're going to walk in your purpose. I must remind you that great things do not happen overnight. If somebody told you that in your lifetime, baby, they were lying to you. Great things do not happen overnight. So take your time, right? And just have a moment and ease into you and feel comfortable pausing. At the end of the day, remember that when it is all said and done, you are the only one in control of your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions to what life throws your way. As always, family, know that I love you. And I appreciate you joining me on this episode of Wisdom with the Wise Counselor. But before we go, I also want you to know this. I believe in you. And I have absolutely no doubt that whatever you face today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, that you absolutely got this. I have no doubt. So with that being said, be well, be blessed, and thanks again for joining me on Wisdom with the Wise Counselor podcast.